Welcome, everyone, to our very first Fired Up podcast episode with Susan Gaitan.
There's a big round of applause.
With the mostest. I'm sitting here with Michael Renaud, my buddy Michael Renaud, my Regis, the Regis to my Kelly, right?
Yeah, there we go.
We're excited. We're excited to be doing this new podcast series. We're going to be doing this monthly, and a little bit about what you are going to be listening to. We're going to talk about what fires us up every month, what's hot in the industry, what's hot in the car business that particular month. This month, our topic is going back to basics. Going back to the fundamentals, right? We talk about the fundamentals of a sales call, but really the fundamentals of having success in the car industry. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to hear a lot of raw humor in between, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes, it just falls out of your mouth.
A lot of chit chat. We're going to be talking about this and that. And we want you to get to know us. We want you to get to know Michael and Susan, who we are outside of the Allen Ram proactive team. And so, you're going to be hearing a lot of backstories. Today, I want to do a dealership rewind. I want to go back to our days at the dealership. I want to share with people, a lot of people see us on videos and, in the store and in-store trainings and stuff, but they see the professional side of us, right? They think that, we've been there forever, but we haven't. We started where everyone is right now, at the car dealership. And so I want to take a couple minutes and find out how Michael got started in the car industry. What inspired you? What provoked you initially to get into? Was it something you just woke up and said, you know what? I want to sell cars.
Yeah, don't we all end up in this business accidentally in some way whatsoever, right? No one naturally, unless you're born into the industry, not a lot of people go, I'm going to go sell cars today, and that's going to be my new career. It just doesn't happen for whatever reason. Everyone has their, like you said, everyone has their story and their journey that took them into
you're
car
like
business.
Kid, unless you're born.
Right, unless my parents were, again, I was born into the business, right? Mm-hmm. But if not, you just somehow wake up one day and you're like, oh, here I am. I guess I work at this dealership and I'm selling cars now. And this is what happens, right? So mine was, again, I was working in a completely different industry. I was working in politics. I was running congressional campaigns at the time throughout the Northeast. I got to do everything I always wanted to do in politics. I tell people I got to do everything I wanted to do except fly on Air Force One. And, but there was a donor to the campaign, and he kept nudging me to come on. And his whole presence, his whole pitch to me about, why should I get out of politics and into the car business is it's the same. What's the big deal? And I had this block in my head all the time going, what do you mean it's the same? How can working in politics and selling a car be the same? Because it is, because all we're doing is selling. And he was right. He was 150,000% right. Yeah. We're just selling something. Sure, it's a person and its ideas and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just selling something. I need you to buy it and commit to it, either with a vote or a signature on a contract. And that, it's fascinating, Susan, but it really, at the end of the day, that's what it came down to. The biggest difference between the two is the amount of editing that goes on.
Yeah, you can't edit what you say on the showroom floor.
Right, yeah. When you can't, and an ad is just a bunch of numbers, and the government tells you what you have to put into the disclaimers. And we always throw in a disclaimer at the end that says, if there's any typos, it's not our fault.
Right.
Like, you can't do that on the other side. Even though today, I guess politicians find a way to do that, but that's another podcast. But the fact of the matter is that's how I got in. I walked in the first day in my suit, all fancied up, ready to go, and got coveralls thrown at me. and told, get the F out of that clothes and get dressed right. And I spent my first, couple months in the car business, washing, detailing, prepping cars, doing inventory. That was my
Well, he
first
did you a
job.
favor.
Yeah, he did. So
he did you a big
Susan,
favor.
what was your first job in the business?
That's how you gained your respect.
Well, listen, and he was right. I mean, he told me this at that time and I didn't realize it till years later, and we were out to dinner and I got the dankum for it. But the fact of the matter is, not one manager in that store, not one salesperson, not one porter was going to respect me unless I did their job. Just
of course, going in looking all sharp in your suit,
Right. I was going to be a wise ass and no one was going to respect me, and I would have been out of there in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, he gave me longevity in this business. He gave me a career in this business. I could always look someone in the eye and say, I washed cars, I detailed cars. Even when I was the vice president of the group, if a car needed to be prepped and ready and we didn't have enough guys in the bays to wash them,
rolled up your sleeves, you got in there. Yeah.
Of course. You took the jacket off and you dealt with whatever you did to your Ferragamos. But
I've done it in heels before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So come on, tell us, what was the first job in the business, Susan? How'd you get in?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was in college and I was a barista. I was managing a coffee shop here in LA. So by the way, you're getting
not Starbucks.
You're getting a bi-coastal podcast here. If you can't tell. Yeah. So Michael is in New York and I am in Los Angeles right now. But I was managing a little coffee shop called the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf in the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Wow.
Sorry, the Fashion Square, Sherman Oaks Fashion Square. And, I decided I didn't want to be in food service anymore. And I applied at a Lexus dealership only because my brother-in-law was parts manager there. And so he said, hey, they're looking for a receptionist. I went in, I had no experience. They wouldn't hire me. They wouldn't hire me as a receptionist. Think about that. Think about all of the sales people
Did you make them a cup
and regretted.
Wait, did you make them a cup of coffee and then they had a problem with it, or you didn't even get that chance?
But try my coffee first.
Please, I made this beautiful cappuccino for you.
Really dark cup.
Look at the little shape I made in the foam.
We know you're gonna have 12 cups today.
Lexus, that's what it is. You should have put the Lexus logo in the foam.
Yeah, we didn't have all that fancy foam back then, but so they wouldn't hire me. They finally called me, and I had actually gone in for an interview, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna kill them with kindness. They're gonna love me. They still didn't hire me. I didn't have receptionist experience. Well, they finally called me in about 3-4 months later, and what had happened was the current receptionist who was training everyone was such a nightmare. She was just, oh my God. Like, these
we
people.
Had one of those. We had
every dealership has at least one of these or has gone through this. Usually they're the main gal, but let me tell you, and they control the whole place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to piss her off.
Yeah, but she had the best gossip.
Oh yeah, no, this one.
I knew everything. She ratted everyone out.
Oh yeah, no, totally. You could get the whole scoop from her.
Got the whole. And people would get in trouble left and right from her.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. But no, she was such a nightmare that the previous couple of candidates or trainees had quit because she was such a nightmare. So I go in there and I'm like, okay, you're kind of mean. But I was a quick learner. And what saved me, Michael, was my bilingual skills. So they really honed in on my Spanish skills, and it really helped, not just on the phones with clients, with customers, but with salespeople and porters. And in just a couple of days, I was necesito el carro rojo aquí pronto, and I was like just controlling everything, and doing my thing and showing off. And so, they ended up keeping me.
Yeah. And look, I mean, how many years ago was this? And that's how important bilingual was.
Y2K.
Right. So think about it. You're in the LA market. Fine. Bilingual is important, but look how important it's become today.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
you were, okay, being bilingual in the business you were almost ahead of the curve, if that
I
seems
was.
odd, but
I
you
I and I
were.
didn't know it. I didn't know it, and I wish that I would have taken advantage, because obviously that led me. I got promoted right away, became a customer relations manager, was a liaison with the Lexus Western team. I mean, I was constantly training with them. I ended up, managing all of the training and Lexus is serious about training. And that's really
Listen,
what
Lexus set the standard for OEMs,
they were
decades ago.
pioneers for the
Mhm.
whole, customer service. Let's
Yeah.
treat our customers like guests in our home. That was one of our
And
mottos.
CSI as we know it today has come
Mhm.
from a lot
Yeah.
from
Oh,
Lexus.
yeah. After that, they set the trend for other
Mhm.
manufacturers. But I ended up doing various other things, advertising, used cars. I was basically doing what a GSM would do. We didn't have a GSM there, so I was, but given all of those tasks without the pay. But I was
Oh, no.
pregnant during most of my career, believe it or not. Well,
Not
they're
amazing. Good for you.
pregnant and busy mom, and so
Yeah, but good
I
for you that now did your employer make that easier for you, or was it a challenge? Like,
that is such a great question, because I know that there's a lot of females that struggle with that.
yeah,
And
even
I
today, and
don't
you're
want to
talking
single out
20,
females, because there may be some,
right.
some male, some dads, single dads, maybe in the industry. I don't know how
Yeah,
they would do
that
it, but
no, but they are. They're there. But yeah, and how do they do it? They're not as strong as we're not as strong as women, that's for sure. But but if you're I mean, Noah's how old's your son now? He's
oh my gosh, my son is 18. My
yeah, so
daughter,
there you go. So
daughter's
18 years
15.
ago, 19 years ago, did you have an employer that was, good about
That
those
is
things
such
and
a
gave you the
great question. And
support?
I hope that there's females listening right now, whether they're in the industry or not. And I will say this, my dealership, my manager, and granted, he ended up becoming a big mentor for me in the business, but I would say all of my managers, most of them really recognized my talent and my skills, but also understood that I had a family. And so they basically they milked me for everything that they could while I was there. And so, yeah, no, so they pulled me up. I was closing deals, the first few months, because they would need someone in Spanish. Susan,
Right.
can you follow these people out to their car? They only speak Spanish. And so I mean, I was like the save the deal gal. And but they knew, and this is, sort of a tip for dealerships that have female staff that are very talented. And women are special, especially in the car business, and people want to deal with women,
Of
don't they?
course. Listen, you've heard me say this a million times at Management by Fires or leadership training. People need to have more women in their workforce on their sales floor. Women gross more, they sell more cars, they sell more repeat customers, they make a better connection. They're far better negotiators than we are. I mean, and we being men. I mean, it's just the fact that if dealers don't have, 25, 30, 50% of their staff be women, they're just missing out on some amazing opportunities, and some opportunities to have some customers be with you for a very long time.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're great at typically we're great at follow up. And if you can
And the
get
trust
somebody
level,
who
Susan, the trust
enjoys
level.
the job, that is committed. I love people, and I love interacting with people. And you and I are both very social like that. And so if you can capture a female like that, and she is limited, she's got family, just take whatever you can from that person and
Right.
allow her to grow. And I guarantee you will get a return from that. So yeah. So what about you? Do you guys have a lot of female salespeople out on the East Coast?
Yeah, we did and we didn't. I would say probably 10 to 15% of the workforce that we had were
About the
women.
same.
And
Yeah.
I would say out of that 10 to 15%, 95% were either single moms or just women who had no children.
Mm.
So I think that kind of is that was a big, I don't know, that wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a good thing, but it was, the women in the business who were single moms needed that latitude, and dealers don't always give that latitude, but every woman I've ever worked with, either as a coworker in the BDC or a coworker on the sales floor, or, someone I managed, they were always the best. They were the strongest. They made the connections. They cared about the customer. They hustled. They grossed more than any guy on the floor. It just is what it is. There's a level there. I had myself as a salesperson has a different hurdle with a customer than you, Susan, has.
Right.
If you and I were on the same sales floor talking to the same exact customer, they're going to go to you before they're going to come to me. And it doesn't matter if it's a husband or a wife or, a male or a female. There's just, I'm a sleazy guy salesperson.
It's the whole taboo. I mean, let's face it.
Right.
From the moment
it's the stigma. I could be as nice as you.
We're trying to tear down that wall, their defenses. Right.
And you do it. And listen, years in the business, I know how to build trust. I know how to make that connection with the customer, how to listen to them, care about what they have to say, but then steer them in the right direction, understanding that I'm not there to just order take from them. I'm going to put my hands on your shoulder and I'm going to steer you and give you the best advice possible. And that's why I have people who still call me today looking for cars, right? And you do too. But, being able
especially
to make
right
that
now.
Connection, right? Yeah, well,
hey, we're gonna get a good deal.
Nowhere. That's what I tell everyone. The good deals
it ain't gonna happen. I finally
years.
had to put something on Facebook because I had everyone calling me.
I saw that you put that video up. That was I almost reposted it and been like, ditto. Because
there's so much more that I wanted to say, but it's interesting how a lot of people don't know. I think everyone's sort of, gets it now, but yeah, no, you were talking about trust, salespeople, and the trust.
Right. But think about it. You with a customer, tell me, you had an experience with a customer that I feel like if I told you about the trust hurdles and how I go about jumping a trust hurdle is much different than how you go about one. And not because I'm from New York and you're from LA, or you were trained in Lexus and I was trained in Hyundai and Mazda. I don't think it's those things. I think it's just a personality thing that's different. I mean, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just
you mean
how
about
I feel
females?
about this. Yeah, about women and that trust hurdle, and how do you do you I feel like you have to put in less effort than I do.
It's sad but true. I don't, I hate to say that because I know male salespeople that are so good at what they do and that have that same sort of, they know how to build trust. My mentor, my GM, the gentleman who promoted me was like that. I mean, he'd have people come in from years ago, decades ago, and I would watch it. Like I can still see it in slow motion. Someone would walk in and ask for Bill McClendon. Does he happen to be here? Oh yeah, he's here. And I haven't seen you in 15 years. Yeah, but we couldn't go anywhere else. We really wanted to come and, and I'm like, how does, so there are, I know people, I know you were like that. I think that for males,
but it was still, I had to put thought and effort into it. And I know you did too. And I know you did too, of how you're going to attack it. But the amount of energy I put in was this, and the amount of energy you had to put in was that. And it's not because of anything other than I'm going to trust a female. And this is why people need more women salespeople. And guess what?
Know something? Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You're right. And I'm not arguing with you. I guess I'm just trying to make a case for men that I know that are out there that are very talented too. But
I totally agree. It's not a lack of talent. That's my whole point. This isn't a lack of talent. This is just, you're a woman and I'm a man. And it takes me a little more effort to get someone over that trust hurdle than it's going to take you. There was a woman on the sales floor I used to work with. Her name was Debbie Absolute. Debbie was amazing. She was a single mom, worked harder than anyone on that sales floor all day long. But when you know, someone would walk into the store and they would see Debbie and they would see me. You could just see they were going right to Debbie and they were staying away from me. And that's what I mean. She already got a level of trust right over that hurdle just by that person steering towards her and away from me.
Oh, I am not arguing that.
No, I know. Yeah.
Let me tell you something though. And hopefully there are some female salespeople listening right now, but I wore heels for way too long. And what women don't realize, because we've all seen them, right? You know, we work it, you know, and I'd work it, you know, and I'd wear great outfits, you know, and put the heels on, but it wasn't necessary. And I didn't realize it then, right? I realize it now, but you're right. Females just have that innate ability to build that trust. It's like automatic trust. It's that nurture, right? That nurturing nature that females have. That
motherly nature that I know how to talk to you and soothe you and comfort you and help you through the process. And
totally.
And it's not always about looks. It just isn't, like you're saying. Right. It's just not about my wardrobe. It's not about my looks. It's just, I could close my eyes and not even see your face or what you're wearing and just hear your words and and that helps. So, all right. So we went on a tangent, but I think it was an important one because women are an important part of this business.
It is. And this is a message for dealer principals too. You know, if you've got females on your staff and, you know, you're not creating the right schedule for these people to flourish, then you're the one who's going to lose at the end, because you're right. There's a lot that females can do on the sales floor, but I think it was an important tangent.
One of the best, I'll tell you just one last piece. One of the best women salespeople I've ever promoted came from the back office. So just because someone's relegated to DMV work doesn't mean there's not a good salesperson.
Wow.
And it was wild. She asked, she wanted to, she asked, she was aggressive, she pursued it, and she was amazing.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, they definitely, it makes me want to sell cars again, to be honest.
Hey, in this market, I
ended up in finance, and that was a grind. So, I mean, I was the last one to leave.
That's right. So you went from sales to F&I instead of going into, well, you bounced around. You, if I remember right, and you corrected it, like you weren't just in F&I.
No, and I wasn't officially a salesperson either. It's interesting. I literally was just, I did bounce around. You know, I was working wholesale a lot. I mean, I would price out cars. I was doing advertisements. I was doing spot ads in newspapers.
Yeah, you had like someone once said to me, in the car business, you can end up with a lot of slashes in your title. And the most important thing you can do is get rid of those slashes. But you ended up with slashes all over your title because you were a jack of all trades doing a little bit of everything at the store.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely learned a lot. And I love that I was with Lexus for so long, that they were really the ones who gave me the foundation that allowed me to excel here. Even, you know, I worked a lot with those guys.
Look at your loyalty. You stayed with one brand for 20 years in one store.
Yeah. I wish I would have gotten around though. I wish I would have got not like that. I wish I would have gotten around.
Right. No, I'm sure, like with hindsight and everything else, it was like, wow, I wish I bounced around. But at the same time, like that loyalty and that dedication doesn't come around too often, you know, and both ways. That loyalty and dedication has to work both ways. Owners and managers need to be, you know, to give as much loyalty as they expect back.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so let me ask you, I mean, you've been here with us, gosh, it's going to be almost
over
a year now, huh?
No, over a year now.
Over a year. You just had January.
Yeah,
right?
January 4th.
January 4th. So you've been with us a year now. And we work with hundreds of stores. We travel a lot. We are, on the East Coast, we're in the South. We've got a lot of dealerships everywhere across the country. Do you ever get the urge to go back to the dealership?
Yeah. It's
knowing
hard
what
now.
you know now, knowing
what now, I wish I can go back into the dealership, take everything I know now and put it back into the store. 100%, of course. But I'll tell you, and I love the dealership, the camaraderie, the lunch orders, the hanging out.
Think about this. How much, if you could put a percentage on how much time you spent either ordering food or eating or just talking about food, planning on your next
if you're adding talking about food in the planning process, I mean, we're talking 20% of the day, easy. I mean, it's so ridiculous and almost embarrassing to say. I mean, we'd sit there, we'd be talking about food ordering or eating food, and salespeople would come up and we'd just start yelling at them to go get back on the phones. And frankly, they needed to be on the phone and they needed to be working the phone, but it was more for us at that moment. We were, eating some, big giant sandwich from Leone's in Brooklyn and having a great time for an hour in the day.
And you had to plan it. Perfect.
Yeah, oh yeah.
In between
you had to
deals.
plan it, but the planning never worked. It always sat there and got cold and mushy, and we never got really to enjoy it because we would spend all this time getting excited over it, and then a million other things would happen and the sandwich would just sit there. So
that would piss me off too.
Oh,
I actually had a guy who wouldn't eat. He'd refuse to eat his cold meal.
No way.
He was like my buddy, and I would make sure that his food was warm. That sounds so bad.
That's so funny. We had a guy, no matter what, he could be with a customer. He could be sitting there with customers. If the food came, he was opening it up.
Right in front of the customer.
But he was so smart. He would share with the customer every time.
Who's
not going to buy a car, who's not going to trust you, who's not going to buy other cars from you after you share a meal with them. So we have all this fun, and it sounds like we're goofing off and wasting time and all that stuff in a dealership, but sometimes that meal could become an instant sale. And that's fun.
I love it. Gosh, so many good memories. I definitely miss it myself, but yeah, we were too busy sometimes either helping customers or taking phone calls. And so, yeah, making sure to schedule the meals was important.
Yeah. Listen, we were there for 10 hours a day. You needed to eat something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about fundamentals. I know we've gone on a couple of tangents, but I did want to talk about the fundamentals of a sales call. This is a big topic for us. And the fundamental keys to just general success at the dealership. But let's start with the phone call. You and I listen to a lot of calls.
Countless phone calls. It's true. We listen to them all the time. We mystery shop our clients
live.
And we share those
we actually even do them live in our training.
Yeah, in Management by Fires. Yep, in our live training.
And what do you find? What have you found? And has it been surprising to you coming to this side, to the vendor side, and listening in now, having this perspective? How do you feel that salesmen generally are handling phone calls today?
I don't see my challenge is and this doesn't matter. We could be in New York or Los Angeles or Louisiana or Wisconsin, and it doesn't matter. The sales call, when that phone call rings, it can't be treated like, oh, here comes another service call. Oh, here comes someone else calling parts. No. This is your one chance, your one shot to make that perfect impression on a customer. I loved getting to the dealership early. I'm an early riser, and I love being the first person at the dealership. You know why? Because that first sales call that comes into the day, it's usually a sale. Maybe not that day, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but it's a sale. And you need to handle every phone call like, it's your last. Like every customer, you handle every customer like it's your last. We should be handling every phone call the same way, and it's not treated that way. It's, yeah, hey, what's going on? Thanks for calling, Gaitan Motors. What do you want? who's going to
Well,
respond to that? Do you want to be think about it, Susan, do you want to be like, how do you want someone to talk to you on the phone? Why should it be any different? Why should you treat anyone different than you would want to be treated? Right.
I think the biggest misconception that people have, salespeople have, is that, yes, we've been trained to just make the appointment, just get the name and number. But in an effort to be non-aggressive, I think a lot of folks think that they have to simply react and answer all of the customers' questions and just sit there,
Right.
and that's
that order taker,
that's
right?
being non-aggressive, right? But I think what people don't realize, what salespeople don't realize, is that people want to be guided. They need that guidance. They need that professional, that advisor to take them, like you said, by the shoulders, by the hand, and guide them through the process.
Right. And that's the difference. They're not, and you hit it right on the head, Susan. They're not needy because, they're, I don't know, losers. They're needy because they don't understand the process. It's been 3 to 5 years since they last bought a car. And the fact of the matter is, we like people's help. I'm coming to you as a salesperson because you're the expert. You're the professional and you're no better than me. So help me out. Be my friend. Don't, try to kill me. Like the restaurant concierge, the hotel concierge, right? Susan, we've used this analogy before, right? The hotel concierge is going to send you to a great restaurant or a great play or a great experience. They might not send you to the exact one you want, okay? But you're going to love it when you're there. But that concierge, guess why they sent you to that restaurant? Because they're going to get a spliff from that restaurant. But I'm still giving you a wonderful experience. But that doesn't mean I can't make a little extra money. And by providing that great experience, you're going to give me a great tip or pay a little more for the car and be okay with that and be happy about it.
I agree. I'm okay with paying a little bit more, knowing that I'm going to get a great service, a great experience on the other side. I mean, this is why businesses like Nordstrom do so well. People don't go to Nordstrom because they're getting the best deal, but they go because of the experience, right? And so, I agree. And again, people need that advice. They want that professional. They want to have that person that they can go back to. I mean, this is the reason why you still get calls today, asking for help when someone's buying a car. But I think that salespeople, they don't realize that they can have control of the phone call without being aggressive, right? Exactly. So let's talk about the 3 fundamental keys of a sales call, because they've changed, haven't they? Those critical parts of the phone call from
100%.
10, 15, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, right? So the very first thing we sort of spoke about already, but it's just having control, is knowing how to control the conversation, not the customer, but the conversation, and knowing what to say in order to guide that conversation towards the sale. And, we teach ways of garnering this control. We've got a great technique called the PAC technique. If you guys are clients of ours, a lot of our dealerships use this technique, and it's great. And this control is necessary in order to include the rest of those critical pieces in that phone call. So, control, right?
And making sure we're asking the right questions, right? Staying in control, Susan's asking those right questions to give the shopper all the reason in the world to come see me instead of coming to see you.
Right. Exactly. And so the second key fundamental to that call,
and especially today,
my personal favorite, is asking about the trade. And you listen, Michael, I am shocked at how many salespeople miss this. I think back at the time, that I had to take overflow calls and I had to take sales calls. And, you don't want to say too much. And I think that there's a fear that salespeople have of digging themselves deeper. Let me just land them on a car. They know what they want. Let me just get them in. Right. Yep. And so I think there's a fear bringing up this trade. Oh, what if they're upside down? I don't want to,
Right. There's
But-
a million questions when it comes to the trade. Am I upside down? What I got this car? I got to look at it. I got to deal with the used car guy. Just sell them a new car and keep it moving.
Exactly. But now,
Right.
how important is asking about the trade today?
It's everything today. Think about it. First of all, you're getting murdered at the auction, right? I mean, you're going to go to any auction in this country. It doesn't matter whose auction it is. You are going to pay so far over market. It's not worth it. Look, the wholesale guys are out of the business right now. Isn't that insane? An entire wholesale market of this business is disappearing because of where prices are and what the auction's driving. So why not be your own wholesale? Why not get from your customers? And that's what being the buyer and what Susan's talking about right now is so important.
That's right. Being the buyer. And there's companies doing it already, right?
Yeah,
There's
we have a
companies
lot
that
of
have
dealer
done
groups that are
it,
doing it.
right? I won't name
Mhm.
any names, but maybe one that
Right.
rhymes with Barmax.
Right, but
They've been
they're
doing it
great
for
at buying up
years,
that car.
you know? You think, oh, I need to sell my car. You think CarMax. But
Right.
why can't we hone in on those same things?
You have all the customers sitting in your database. All the customers are right there in your database and calling you every day.
And
Grab their car. They're driving something.
right. But plenty of opportunities, fresh leads, inbound leads, sales calls. I mean, all of these opportunities that you have throughout the day to source more cars at your dealership.
100%.
And if you're a salesperson, there's a lot of dealer principals, a lot of managers that have changed their pay plans and are now including those spiffs and are
Yep.
spiffing on
And should be.
appraisals and extra cars.
Managers, you're there. You should be spiffing on all of these
Right.
things.
Absolutely. You're going to end up paying less for these units. Yeah. So you're right. People are going, I mean, I know GMs that have crossed state lines recently just to acquire more cars. And so it's, yeah, with all of the opportunities, but not only will you acquire great switch cars, you're also planting a seed of hope in that shopper's head. So there's no way if you get excited about their car, and we've got a strategy for this that we teach, don't we? We
Yes,
teach our
we do.
managers and all of our dealerships, but planting that seed of hope in their head. Wow, that sounds like a great transition vehicle for us. Let me explain. You are actually motivating that shopper to come in and see you before making a final decision. So no matter where they end up going, right? Because shoppers have so many options now, so many choices, and they're switching. They're switching from that first car that they're looking at. We know this. There's people switching even on segment right now because of low inventory, right? So if they're going to switch,
right, they're getting
why not have them switch at
anything
their
they can get
dealership?
into.
But that will definitely get more of those appointments into your showroom. So bringing up that trade is key. That is a key critical piece to that phone call. The last one is offering more options, opening up the customer. Now, this is something that you and I hear frequently, right? Is
100%.
salespeople just narrowing down that shopper, landing them. Again, this is what we've been trained to do, is just land them on a car. But because more than 8 out of 10 of those shoppers will end up switching, we don't want to narrow them down.
Well, and sorry to interrupt, Susan, but this is where we take a showroom tactic and we've incorporated it into the phones.
Right.
We don't treat the phones differently. When you're in the showroom and you have a customer on the showroom floor, do you want to do 7 quotes on 7 cars for them? No. That's why your manager tells you exactly what Susan said. Nail them on a car. Nail them down. Pick a car. I'll write the quote on that one car because I'm not sitting here writing 7 quotes for this customer and totally confusing them and making this process a mess. Right. But when you're on the phone with them, when we're talking to them, trying to get them in, we want to talk about all the options they're going to have to choose from when they get here, because our inventory is so much bigger than the guys that you're talking to, because I know you've called my competitor and their competitor and 7 other competitors. So I have to stand out by telling you about all the wonderful inventory that I have and how much you're going to have to choose from when you get here. Your biggest problem isn't going to be choosing just one. It's which car you're going to pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we forget, we forget as salespeople, we're on that phone call, we're talking about one car. And even if you don't forget, even if you consider that you have other alternatives, it's impossible to know everything you've got available to you. So we're talking incoming cars. We're talking cars that are in transit, cars that have been delivered to your dealership that you just can't see. Maybe they're in recon. Maybe they're down the street getting a recall done. I mean, there are so many options that you have, so much available to your shopper. Now, are you going to go through that list? Are you going to whip it out and go through everything, while that customer's on the phone? No. But you do want to let that customer know that you have the availability, right? Like you mentioned.
Yeah. We have wonderful cars in stock. Yeah.
Good
That's
stuff.
That's the whole
So those are the
point.
key fundamentals of a phone call.
We're staying in control.
Right.
We're being the buyer. And we're always offering alternatives. These are 3 simple things that you need to just keep in your head every time you're speaking to a customer, every time you're on the phone, and stop taking those showroom tactics and putting them on the phone. The phone's a different place.
That's right. And stop thinking about food on that phone call. Okay.
No, shoot. What am
Stop
I going to
planning
think?
your next meal.
What am I going to think about for the rest of this podcast?
Right.
It's Taco
we're running
Tuesday
out of
in my
time.
house.
But this has been fun. I did want to mention a couple of things. We've got some hot stuff coming up. We've got so much new content, don't we?
Oh, this is going to be the year for content here. You're going to see a lot of new content and a lot of changes to our platform that are just going to take this program to the absolute next level. It's really going to be an exciting year.
Lots of
There's going to be an
stuff.
announcement after announcement.
Announcement after announcement. We've got NADA coming up. We've got our next Management by Fire. We've been getting so many requests, and Michael, it's killing me that we can't travel right now. It's killing me that everything has been postponed.
Well, we're going to be there in the spring for everybody, even if we have to do it outside.
Yeah, we're still working out those details, but May 2022 is our next tentative for now, but we will firm up those dates for everyone and get those announcements out there. But if you're a manager in the industry, if you are a newly promoted leader, sales manager, internet manager, BDC manager, this is the class that's going to show you everything that you need to do, the fundamentals of success on the sales floor today, not 15 years ago. And it's not all motivation either. We're not going to hype you up and just give you rah, so we're going to give you a little bit of that. But we really hone in on all of those things. I mean, it really is sort of an intense class, and we put a little sweat in people's foreheads sometimes too, don't we?
It's good for them. Those little butterflies in their stomach.
That's right. That's right. So listen for the announcement, next Management by Fire. And we're going to be doing these podcasts monthly again. Next month, we're going to be talking about measurement and how to
use the
properly
whiteboard.
Measure your effectiveness on the sales floor. What does success look like today? And how do you calculate that? I know that there's a lot of great dealerships out there whose lead management systems are still using old technique, calculating old data, old indexes that may not necessarily be the right ones to measure today.
Or sometimes they just don't even know where to look in the CRM.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to help you with all that.
Yeah. So we're going to go through all that next month. So make sure to tune in for that. It's been fun, Michael.
It's been a blast, Susan. I hope you enjoy your nice, warm California weather while we are freezing our what's off here in New York.
I always, hey, we
right.
almost had a tsunami over here. So
oh, right.
we do deal
I
with
know it's 75 degrees too.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, I don't think it was quite the tsunami we were expecting, but in any case,
it
we're
was
all
like
safe.
3 degrees when I woke up here on
We're back out on the
Sunday.
beach.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, listen, it was good seeing you.
It was great seeing you. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here next month. And remember, the Allen Rand team is here for you. Please take advantage of all of our resources, especially our YouTube channel, where we have just countless videos and support for you and your teams. And we look forward to seeing you all next month.